Recently, I had the chance to spend a day with Michael Hyatt talking about focus and productivity. And Michael is definitely one of those people that I look up to. So this is super exciting. I get a chance to actually go to dinner, sit down, and actually have a chat with him about productivity and focus. And the reason I got to do this was because I was part of a beta launch of his course, Free to Focus, which if you haven't checked out that course or haven't heard about that course yet, head on over to freetofocus.com. Highly recommend that course. But I was part of the beta group, and he actually asked that I would come down and share my story, how that course has impacted my life and impacted the work that I do on a regular basis, and how the results that I've seen, which have been pretty significant. And I'll be sure to include a link to the testimonial video that I gave for that, viewing that, and you'll find that in the show notes. So if, in case you're wondering how Free to Focus has changed my life, you can check that out there. But what I want to talk to you on this episode of the podcast is to actually talk about some of the lessons that I really learned really in my visit down there with Michael Hyatt, and some of my big takeaways from that evening together. And the first one is to really cover mega batching. So Michael is someone who batches tasks together better than anyone I have ever seen in my entire life. For those of you familiar with Michael, he has this membership site called Platform University, and in just 2 days of video filming, he creates the entire master classes for his membership site. That's 2 days, he creates 12 videos. Like, that's crazy. And that's just one example. He is also, when we were there, they reshot and a lot of the marketing materials and a lot of the intro material for the course that they were just launching. They also had us there to gather the testimonial videos, and that was all done in 2 days, the span of 2 days. They brought the crew in and rented a house, sat down, had all the content ready, knew what they needed to do, and just cranked through the video after video after video, and it was extremely impressive. So the importance of mega batching can't be understated, and it's something that I'm trying to do significantly. Right now, this video actually is part of a mega batching process for me. If you look, you might notice that at a couple of the podcasts I'm wearing the same shirt. That's because I'm mega batching these together, as well as some other videos that I need for membership sites and things like that, other projects we're working on. But I'm trying to start batching things together like crazy. Another big takeaway is how Michael has just built his life to live in his desire zone. It's super impressive. In Michael's course, Free to Focus, he talks about the Freedom Compass, which basically describes these 4 different zones that a lot of our tasks fall into. There's the disinterest zone, the drudgery zone, the distraction zone, and the desire zone. And more than anything, Michael has crafted his life in a way that actually focuses in on that desire zone, where he is mostly only doing tasks that fall within that zone. And, you know, not all of us are at that exact spot. He has a team of 19 people right now. So we all don't have a team of 19 people. I have a few people working for me, but nowhere near that where I have to take on some of those other zones. But really my big takeaway, and we actually talked about this at dinner some, was to actually start keeping track of what those activities are that don't fall into my desire zone. So, and then eventually placing them in which zones they fall into, so that you can start eliminating the worst offenders first, which is really like the drudgery zone, and then probably the distraction zone, and then probably the disinterest zone. But really just to start categorizing, not even categorizing, but tracking those tasks that you're doing that don't fall into that zone. So when it is time for you to bring on a teammate, to maybe hire your first executive assistant, whatever it may be, you know some of the tasks to outsource first. You know where the low-hanging fruit is. You know what you can kind of hand off to others to help you focus in more on your desire zone. So that, I think, is a huge takeaway. It's not a simple overnight fix. It's going to take time to get to that point in your life where you are just focusing in on your desire zone. I don't think anybody can 100% be always in their desire zone, but we can strive to be much, much closer. One of the things I've started doing, and I talked about it in a previous episode of the podcast, or maybe it's a future one, I forget now, but it's really to just carve out some deep work time every morning during the week. And that's really my chance to focus on content creation, to focus on some of the front and backstage activities that really are in my desire zone. So that was one little thing that I've done. But once you actually get your list, once you figure out what are those tasks that need to be eliminated, automated, or delegated, you can start doing each of that. You can start either cross it completely off the list, get rid of it, you don't need to be doing it. You can automate it so it happens automatically without you having to worry about it. You can delegate it. And the important point is that it should be in that order. An example that I really learned, and this I learned from the course, and I actually talk about it in the one video with Michael. In our business, we have an onboarding period for clients where we go through and kind of give them some training on how to get prepared for a podcast, what to think about, what to do, how to record, all that fun stuff. And I created templates for everything. I created a system for it. We have tasks in Asana. We have a template that I can just plug in the dates, and it tells you email on this date, email this on this date, email this on this date, create the description on this date, things like that. And I was at the point where I was ready to I tweaked the system, I created it myself, tweaked it, and now it's time to hand it off to somebody else. It's time to delegate that. But going through the course, I realized, I had this epiphany that there's no reason someone has to necessarily be doing each and every one of these steps. Yes, somebody has to do certain ones of these steps, but for the most part, we could turn most of that training sequence, if you will, into an automated email sequence. So we went and actually created a mini training course, with videos, and it's actually part of the membership site, basically. So people now, when they purchase the podcasting service, they actually are signing up for a membership site where they're delivered the main training piece up front, and then of course we continue to deliver the service after they're done with the training pieces. But it has videos, it has an email that goes out to them automatically, and now no one has to touch that. Where before I was thinking, oh, I can outsource this to someone. I don't even have to pay someone to do that. It now just happens automatically. So it's important to really think about things in that order: eliminate, automate, and then delegate. Perhaps our biggest discussion at dinner actually revolved around hiring people and the importance of hiring the right people. And that really, it needs to be more about personality than necessarily about a skill set or even past experiences. A lot of that stuff can be trained, but you need to have the right personality for the right job. Now, not every personality is going to be right for every job or right for every position, but you want to find that perfect personality, that perfect person for that right spot. And so that's actually resulted in some big shifts in the way we go about our hiring process now. I'm working right now on kind of revamping that based off of a lot of Michael's advice, some things he's written about it, some things he has in his one course, as well as some books that he recommended I check out. So I'm actually going through and kind of revamping that whole process, focusing a lot on the character of a person versus skill sets. So that's been kind of neat, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it. But really the big thing is to also first share that with your community. Like if you are someone who's out there hiring, find those people who are already connected to you, your friends, family, your online following, and share that job opportunity with them first, because maybe they know someone, maybe they themselves are ready to step up and they're already a part of your family, so they're closer, they know what you're about, they know like and know what the content you're delivering, the business you're running, the values of your business. So try and find someone within your tribe first, or someone who is connected to your tribe in some way, because that's going to drastically improve the likelihood that you're going to find the right person for that position. And the last big takeaway was the importance of having that emotional support. At dinner, there was 5 of us along with Michael and Gail, and while this wasn't explicitly stated, you could just see the impact and the importance of Gail to Michael. Like, you could just see that the need for that emotional support, that person, that partner there to help bounce decisions off of, to help support him when he was feeling low energy, or just to help him through the challenging times, or celebrate the wins with him. You could just kind of feel that energy there and feel the need for that support system. I think too often as entrepreneurs, we can feel very isolated. We can feel like we're in this on our own, and we know we've all felt that emotional roller coaster where one minute you can be extremely excited, things be going perfect, and the next it can feel like you're going bankrupt, your business is falling apart, like you're never going to make this, you're going to be a complete failure. And then the next you're on top of the world, and how could you do anything wrong? It's crazy how things can change from within the day, within the hour. The way you feel emotionally can just ride up and down as an entrepreneur. So it's important that you have people in your life, whether it's a partner, whether that's family, whether it's friends, or just a more supportive entrepreneurial community. There's an extreme importance in having people there who understand you, who understand what you're going through, and who are there to help be that emotional anchor for you, to be there to help keep you grounded, to be there to help you get through those tough times. So yeah, that was kind of a random smattering of my big takeaways from that day I got to spend with Michael Hyatt. I highly recommend you go check out his course, Free to Focus. You can find it at freetofocus.com, or it'll be linked up in the show notes. And it might not be, probably is not available now because they just did a big launch for it. But even if you missed that launch, be sure to sign up for the waiting list, because you're going to want to be a part of it the next time he releases it. And now, until next week, it's time for you to go out there, take action, and maximize both your impact and your income. And thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. Hopefully you got some great value from it. We're going to be doing a few more of these mini episodes here and sprinkling them in every so often throughout the podcast here. And so hopefully you're getting a ton of value from them. And if you are ready to make that jump into starting your own podcast and are just not quite sure where to start, go text the word podcast blueprint. That's one word, podcast blueprint, to 33444. That's 33444, the word podcast blueprint. And I'll send you over my podcasting blueprint PDF that kind of walks you through all the steps needed to really get started. And also, if you were looking to find all of the episodes of The Power of Podcasting, simply head on over to powerofpodcasting.tv, and you'll find all the episodes linked up there. And if you have not done so yet, please go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, and please leave a rating and a review, because rating and reviews are the best way for more people to find out about this podcast and decide if this is the one for them. Well, all right, until next week, it's time for you to go out there, take action, and maximize both your impact and your income.